Good morning, this is Mrs. Gonzalez. Today's lesson we're going to be looking at the angle sum theorem of a triangle. So our objective for today, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to write and solve equations to determine missing angle measures, specifically in a triangle. Now let's review some vocabulary as well before we get started. The word that I want you to know going into this lesson is interior angles. Now, interior angles are simply an angle inside a shape. So given these four shapes, all we're going to do is we're going to identify the angles inside of them. So a square, it's these angles at the corners. All of these little corners right here, inside, these are what we would call the angle. Now, with a triangle, specifically, there's three interior angles. We have three sides to this triangle. We have 3 points, so that gives us 3 interior angles. So all these markings that are identified here, these are what we would call interior angles. Again, these are just the angles inside the shape. So now, going into our lesson and looking at the angle sum theorem of a triangle, it states that the sum of the measures of the interior angles of any triangle is equal to 180 degrees. All right, so here again it's restated, and here's our example. So it says if we have the measure of angle W, the measure of angle X, and the measure of angle Y, WXY, if we sum them all together, they're going to equal 180 degrees. Now, let's illustrate this a different way. All right, so I switched over to the document camera. Now, as you can see here, we have a straight edge right here. Hopefully, you recall that a straight line also happens to measure 180 degrees. So if we were to put our protractor up to this, we would see that this measures 180 degrees. Now, it says that these three angles of a triangle should add up to 180 degrees as well. Let's see if that's true. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark my 3 angles here. Okay, and now, believe it or not, I'm going to take my triangle and I'm going to rip it. So there's one of our angles, and here's our other 2 angles. So now, according to this triangle sum theorem, if I reassemble this, my angles, just my angles of my triangle, along this straight line, it should form a straight line. And voila, it does. So the 3 angles in a triangle, you can add them together to equal 180 degrees. All right, so now let's look at an example. Given scalene triangle ABC with the measure of angle A equaling 63 degrees and the measure of angle B equaling 41 degrees, find the measure of angle C. So I always like to start out by just labeling everything. So let's visually look at this. Angle A, it tells us, is 63 degrees. Angle B over here is 41 degrees. And we don't know what angle C is. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and write everything out, make it very clear. So we have the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C equals 180 degrees. And now that we have our theorem written out and organized, we're going to plug in our values. So we know that A is 63. We know that B is 41. And we don't know C, so we're just going to write the measure of angle C. And then we know that they will all add up again to make 180 degrees. So 63 plus 41 is 104 degrees. Then we're just going to write the measure of angle C equals 180 degrees. Now we want to get the measure of angle C by itself, so we're going to go ahead and subtract 104 from both sides. 104 minus 104, it gives us 0. Okay, so this is just going to disappear. Now the measure of angle C, we're going to pull that down. So we're going to write the measure of angle C equals, and then 180 minus 104 is 76 degrees. And so that's our final answer. the measure of angle C right here is equal to 76 degrees. All right, so let's review again. Our objective that we started with was, at the end of this lesson, I will be able to write and solve equations to determine missing angle measures. Now, with the example we just did, we accomplished both of these goals. But now I want you to try. So right here is our quick check. We have a house, and we're trying to find the angle of this point on the roof, we'll call it. Okay, we're trying to find the missing angle measure of this point. And here we have a suspension bridge, and they give us information about this angle, they give us information about this angle, but we need to find out what the measure of this angle is. So what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and pause this recording. I want you to solve these two problems, and then restart it and check and see if you got the correct answers. All right, pause it. So hopefully by now you worked out these two problems, and here are the problems worked out with the solutions. If you did not get these two problems correct, you may want to go back and review the recording, or you can go ahead and contact me for help. I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.